got Spa, which Josh Rogers is great at, of course, and their teammates as well, but they need to be in the mix by then.
They really do, and they just need to limit the damage at the circuits they're not as strong at and really maximise their strengths, which of course is going to be Spa 1 and 2 for Rogers and Charlie Collins yesterday. Let's see how they do though towards the back end of the field here in Jeddah.
There he is, Dane Warren, just getting ready. He's the best placed of the Porsche co-anders in the field. I don't think Jeff Rietveld's time was showing up a moment ago. He qualified 7th, so you will spot him on the inside of row 4. Down towards turn number 1 then. Luke Bennett, after that astonishing qualifying lap, will be in control of the field for the first race of the upper bracket in the Esports World Cup in 2025. 10 laps here at Jeddah to sort this one out. As we get the race underway, Luke Bennett gets off to a decent start, and it's a sandwich for Wojciech Fiala, who's got Siggy and Job either side of him. In towards turn 1, Porsche Commander going to be aggressive into the first turn, and they are. 3 wide in the midfield, and Collins and Warren move up to 6th and 7th.
They have to be aggressive though. Their poor qualifying session this first lap when everyone's bunched up is so important for Coanda. Bennett able to consolidate that lead, but side by side Sebastian Job going around the outside of Wojciech Fiala. Now as we enter this swooping sector 1, the inside line going to favour the Aston Martin. Job now hung up to dry on the outside, and a look to the inside, pinch to the apex as well as Job was trying to attack McCormack in front. Fiala now gets involved. They end sector 1. It's Bennett from McCormack.
Job has done a good job to get himself in the middle of those Virtus.pros though, and Porsche Coanda have done a good job to shuffle Siggy back as well. It's roughly on as even, but Porsche Coanda will certainly have the least amount of points at the moment after that first sector. They're still side by side, in fact. That's Josh Rogers, who's moved forward from last to 8th in this opening lap. Kevin Siggy trying to prevent him from going any further.
Yeah, exactly, especially with Bennett and Job doing a good job at the front of the field. Siggy and Rietveld's job from further back is to prevent Porsche from going forwards, because they know they're going to be strong later on in the group, and Redline right now need to hold firm and secure some good points. Siggy wants to move forward, take some points away from Porsche and score more for yourself. That's one thing that BMW M Team Redline, Red Bull Sim Racing do really, really well, is that team dynamic. They work so cohesively as a 4, so too do Porsche Coanda, so too do Virtus.pro, but Redline have just got a little extra on top of that. Siggy and Rietveld know their job, they need to press forward.
Fiala's seeing a bit of a gap open in front of him here, by the way. That's Bennett and McCormack who are being let free, and Kevin Ayers Jr. is going to benefit maybe. He looks on the outside of turn 26, inside at 27. It's a tight line down there, and Sebastian Job just keeps him at bay for the moment. Charlie Collins right in there as well, and he's got 2 teammates behind him. Cook back out at 27, and he's on the inside. Whoa. In the background, Mikhail Statsenko finds the wall.
Oh, goodness me. I don't know if he was tagged round or if he just got on the power a bit too quickly, but that is not what Virtus.pro need whatsoever. Kevin Ellis Jr. they may be getting swarmed by the Porsche Coanda cars towards turn 1. Wojciech Fiala trying to put some pressure on Sebastian Job. He gets the cut back off the exit of turn number 2. Job not with the greatest of exits, but will have the advantage by the time they reach turn number 4.
And how are they going to squeeze through here? Fiala's just in behind. He's going to have to be careful. He's still there though, and Job gets the job done into the top 3 for 2 of the Team Redline cars, and Charlie Collins is in the top 5 as well. It's changing here for Virtus.pro, and not positively at the moment.
It's all falling apart. Dara McCormack staying with Luke Bennett, but the rest of the team just seem to be going backwards, falling into the clutches of Porsche Coanda behind. Now in the slipstream, Charlie Collins applying some pressure to the rear view mirror of Wojciech Fiala in towards turn number 11. Let's see if he can launch an attack into this long hairpin. Not quite close enough, but look in the background as well. Kevin Siggy squeezes his BMW through on Joshua Rogers.
That was a bit of a bump and a barge, and I wonder whether the stewards will have something to say about that. Still side by side, and that might be Siggy letting him back through again. He might just have acknowledged that that was an unfair pass, and he lets Rogers through, although he might still get a penalty because the stewards will look at it anyway, and it has cost Rogers a second in the end.
Yeah, it has done indeed. Of course, a big talk of the town yesterday. The reason Maus are no longer in this competition anymore is because of penalty points. You have to be so careful, limit how many stewards inquiries you get, how many of those penalty points that you rack up, not only for qualifying bans, but again, those points against your license tally up against your championship points, and that could be the difference in between going straight through to the final or having that cutthroat lower bracket group to decide your fate.
Speaking of qualifying bans, by the way, none at the start of today, as I mentioned, not in the upper bracket anyway, but McCormack, Warren and Rogers are all quite close to receiving a qualifying ban, or indeed a race ban in McCormack's case, at the start of tomorrow. They won't apply today, but should they make it through to the final, they will apply for the first race of that final, should those teams make it. We'll get to that again later. At the moment, Josh Rogers is involved in an incident that's being investigated by race control as we come down towards turn 1 again. Speaking of which, Josh Rogers is in the battle right now. Caruso looks in the background trying to pass these guys as Siggy goes round the outside, inside at turn 2. It's going to be side by side off the corner as well. 2 by 2 between Redline and Porsche Coanda, just as it was meant to be. These two teams going head to head again for the World Cup, and Rogers keeps 8th place for the moment.
A perfect embodiment of exactly what we expected coming into the Esports World Cup in 2025. Porsche Coanda from Redline from Porsche Coanda. This is what we want to see. This is the rivalry that has been boiling for the last 2 years in R1 competition. We're on lap 3 of 10. Bennett still in control from McCormack just in behind. How many risks is he going to take though? Because at the moment it's a pretty safe second place. Job is too far back to realistically do anything, and that points yield could be worth it for Virtus.pro, but considering all of the other drama that's happened for them, they might want to just bank a solid 20 points.
Penalty coming through for Jordan Caruso. He's going to get 3 seconds added to his race time at the end of the day, and 4 licence points as well. That's for contact with Mikhail Statsenko, who went around at the final corner, turn 27. So already bad news for Porsche Coanda, and we said it earlier on. If you look at the groups from yesterday and see where everybody ended up, it's almost a list of who got the least penalties. Obviously, the actual finishing positions mattered way more, but it's a good way of just seeing how much those actually take effect in terms of your finishing position in the group.
Yeah, 4 penalty points is huge. And right now, after lap 1, of course, we had a provisional points tally calculated. Porsche Coanda not looking good. I think their fortunes have changed, of course, since then. Slight little tap to the rear end there from Charlie Collins on the back end of Wojtek Fiala, getting all sorts of close. Now in the slipstream, though, Wojtek Fiala is going to be forced to go to the left-hand side, forced to defend, and Charlie Collins going to apply some pressure. In fact, actually, the Aston Martin takes back to the racing line. Here comes Charlie Collins to the inside.
Depends whether you want the outside or the inside at turn 2, really. It's do the opposite at turn 1 for whatever you want. Inside for the second part, and Fiala's going to get cut off there. Free wine, in fact, with his teammate, and Kevin Ellis Jr. is trying to get them both, but he won't. And Charlie Collins moved through to 4th. He is dragging Porsche Coanda on his back at the moment, and he's got 4th position. In the background, Jordan Caruso has got both red lines, so that's good news for him. He's just trying to keep them away from Josh Rogers, who at the moment is going to finish 8th.
Yeah, not great at all for Josh Rogers. Of course, that slowdown in qualifying really hurting him, especially, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier on. Fair enough, maybe you do want your fastest driver as such to be the one to have a poor qualifying, because they're the best one to work their way back forwards. But equally, on the flip side of that, they become the biggest target. Rietveld and Siggy around them, and the likes of Kevin Ellis Jr. look at Josh Rogers and go, well, hang on, you're not getting through, because if you get through, you're going to run away and score some good points. We're going to keep you at bay. The better you are, the bigger the target is on your back. And Josh Rogers, at the moment, the best he can manage is 8th place. The good news for them, though, is they've got Warren, Rogers and Caruso all lined up together in positions that could help them steamroll their way through, albeit slightly dispersed. Rogers not really all over the back of Warren.
Not for the moment, and that's because of the battle for 8th place that we've seen develop in the last couple of laps here. Not too many other fights are going to continue on from here then. The one for the lead might well do, but Luke Bennett's been very quick so far, and that's contact. Well, what happened there? We caught the back end of it. Collins, Fiala and Kevin Ellis Jr. came into turn 22 on top of each other, and in the end, Charlie Collins had to go across the tarmac, and they're going to do a swap here at Virtus.pro, which makes sense.
Yeah, it does indeed. Wojtek Fiala, of course, his qualifying was amazing, but Kevin Ellis Jr., I think, just has the race pace and the racecraft, that experience to go and catch and maybe even overtake Charlie Collins as well. We have had a warning come through for Kevin Siggy from Team Redline, and that's going to put a single penalty point onto their licence as there's drama in the background.
Yeah, did I see that right? Or was there someone off in the background there?
Your eyesight is a bit better than mine, mate. I had no clue.
Yes, something has happened. Rietveld and Caruso have made contact. Well, we'll have a look back at that in a moment as well, but that's deep from Kevin Ellis Jr. That's not going to help, and that could allow Charlie Collins to get away. Not ideal for Caruso at all, although, yeah, he might well get a higher finishing position. You might well get another penalty as well. That'll be something else for the stewards to look at a little bit later on. But yeah, as you say, Kevin Siggy, just a warning for that contact with Josh Rogers earlier, and that means he will lose a point for Team Redline. Not too costly, especially since they're winning the race and they're third as well. But even so, want to avoid those as much as possible, and we might well see another one coming through pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly that. Lap 5 of 10, though, we're ticking close to half distance of the first race of the day. Bennett leads from McCormack and Sebastian Job. Of course, Redline did a fantastic job in qualifying. They're looking to follow that forwards into the race. Let's take a look back. I think this is going to be what happened a bit further back. Could this be Riyadh? That's the number 13 of Wojtek Fiala. Was that a bit of contact with Charlie Collins maybe into the final corner?
It's a little bit of contacts there, but the 93 was in the middle. That is Charlie Collins, yeah. So that was just the bumping and barging that we saw live. There's clearly some more after that as well, further down the field. This is Luke Bennett, though. He doubled his LAN win tally yesterday, 1-2, and he is now trying to get it to 3 with Darren McCormack. He's never won multiple times in one LAN event, and well, not in R1 anyway. And he is looking to do that this afternoon. Darren McCormack being behind you, though, is massive, massive pressure for Luke Bennett for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, exactly. And now, of course, like what we were saying, maybe they come back together, Redline and Virtus.pro, right? Because for Redline, it's sort of a case of, well, our biggest rivals are going to get demoted to the lower bracket, and they've then got a much harder time to actually join us in the final. So sort of for their sake, it's a case of, well, actually, it could be beneficial to us to work with Virtus. And then Virtus is saying, well, let's work with the powerhouses that are Redline to almost guarantee us a slot going into the finals. Now with Virtus.pro sort of dispersed around the grid, I mean, I think they're still scoring higher than Porsche Commander, at least at the moment in this race. It might still be worth them working together. However, if fortunes turn less in favour of Virtus.pro, maybe we could see McCormack get closer and closer and start applying some pressure to Bennett. I think what it is going to be a case of, he's going to close up so that should he need to attack, he can, but not directly really go for too much aggression.
Well, this is where the battle's going to be. From 4th place on backwards. Could maybe include Rogers and Siggy and be involved in this, but they are a second or so away. These guys are probably more likely to fight, but even then it's going to be tricky. It's a good job from Team Redline so far, though, considering it's a circuit the BMW doesn't enjoy so much, and this is what happened further behind. That's contact between Rietveld and Caruso. That little bit of initial contact sends them both sideways. As they try and gather it up, they smash into each other. Yeah,
it was just a little bit awkward there. Rietveld obviously wanted to turn into the corner. There was a Porsche on the inside. That unsettled the Porsche, which then had a snap of oversteer, which then, as he corrected it, then gripped up again and snapped back into the BMW, which then sent him round. It was just one of those things, awkward pinch point at the apex. Going to be difficult to pin blame either which way. I'm sure the stewards, of course, will be taking a slight look at that. Lap 6 of 10, though. Luke Bennett versus Darren McCormack. Not really been too much going on between the pair of these guys, but I have to say, I'm so impressed with Luke Bennett over the last couple of days here at LAN. Not only has he really sort of stepped up his qualifying and his race pace, but also he's in contention for those race wins. He's not just sort of playing that 3rd or 4th rear gunner role. He's really at the front, scoring some high points for Redline, and at the moment leading the way fairly comfortably.
Out of the final corner and onto the front straight again. Darren McCormack again putting the pressure on Luke Bennett. Should be a couple of laps to go here. And surely at some point, Darren McCormack's going to give this a go, or will he? I think is the question. There is the stage, the action on stage. And currently, Virtus.pro will be relatively pleased with how they're going. It'll be 39 points, I think. But penalties notwithstanding, maybe even 40. If they can start to average 40 or so, then you'd certainly see yourself, if you're in the upper bracket anyway, if you average 40 a race or so, you should be going through to the final.
Not bad at all. Sort of, yeah, points all really, really good. Up there for sure, and exactly what they need to do. The upper bracket is interesting because 2 of the teams go straight through, which of course almost effectively doubles your chances of maybe making your way into the finals over tomorrow. But that does mean you do need to deliver over the next 3 races. Those, of course, that finish third will be demoted to the lower bracket. They'll join Vitality and Williams on their pursuit to clinch that final spot in the finals tomorrow. And that means that even though you do finish third, there is still another opportunity to maybe still find your way in this competition. Slight bit of tap to the barrier there from Dane Warren. I don't think it's going to hamper him too much, but we saw that yesterday. He lost a bit of ground at Fuji from these tiny micro mistakes that chip away at that lap time, and I think maybe that's one of the factors that's holding him back.
Josh Rogers has completely got rid of Kevin Siggy, who's sliding away and frustrated with himself just a little bit there. Looks like it's going to be a 9th place finish here in race number 1 for him. But Darren McCormack's run of podiums here at Jeddah looks like it is going to continue. Won yesterday at this venue, and he looks like he's going to be up there in contention again, and he's getting close close here, Darren McCormack. And here he goes into the final corner, maybe. We're on the penultimate lap, but he's going for it here. Virtus.pro looking to steal the most points out of race number 1 in a big surprise in the upper bracket. He's got a good exit now, out of the final corner and onto the front straight. Darren McCormack's really putting the pressure on here. He's going to go to the outside. He's got no choice. Luke Bennett shoves him there. He's going to squeeze in between the wall and that big BMW M4 on the inside line. Darren McCormack on a tight line, and he's not going to manage it. Round the outside into the first chicane.
That was perfect from Bennett. He gave him as big of a squeeze as possible and not a centimetre over. Darren McCormack had to thread the needle there and be so precise, but Bennett, that was immaculate defence. And right now, we've got 2/3 of a lap, just over 2/3 of a lap to decide this race. As things stand, Team Redline top the group with 43 points, 39 to Virtus.pro and 21 to Porsche Coanda, really on the back foot as we're about to complete the first of only 3 races in group, or the upper bracket, on to the final lap. Luke Bennett looking back though, the pressure is on. He thought he was safe. McCormack maybe led him into a false sense of security. The final lap is now though, and well, the gloves are off.
Oh, it's a bit wide from Darren McCormack. It might just be slipping away here right at the very end. He was close last time round, and maybe that was his only chance here. We know the Aston Martin's good at following, especially through these high-speed corners compared to the other machines, but I think he's just a bit too far back here.
Maybe so. Of course, if this move does get done, it means that Virtus.pro would lead the bracket after race number 1. And what a shock that would be. Almost everyone thought it was going to be an absolute Redline 1, Porsche Coanda maybe 2, either which way around. But Virtus.pro, definitely the expectation was they were going to go into the bracket. Well, I think maybe some of our analysts' hot takes could be correct by the end of this. Maybe we're going to have one of the big 2 dropping. Of course, still got 2 more races to go, but Luke Bennett, this defence has been perfect.
It would be a seismic shock if either of them were to drop out, but that's how it's looking at the moment. Team Redline and Virtus.pro have dominated this race, and they're going to finish 1 and 2 as a collective. And Luke Bennett is going to win at a LAN event for his 3rd time in R1, and his 2nd time this week as well. Look at the relief now that washes over him. He's delighted, and Team Redline will be as well. Darren McCormack knows it's a job well done for his team, but Luke Bennett wins at Jeddah, a circuit which doesn't particularly suit the BMW when you compare it to the Aston Martin. In fact, they will be very, very pleased to head on to Daytona and Spa with that advantage now in their back pocket. Luke Bennett wins for the 6th time in 2025, and it couldn't be more important at this stage in the competition.
That is the difference that Team Redline make. Even on a track, they're not the strongest. They step up, they find a way to win, and Luke Bennett, congratulations. He's got the most podiums in Team Redline, one of the most consistent drivers in R1, and right there, right now, he proved it.
Let's have a look in a moment at some analysis, of course, after this short